What we need is here. What we need is here. Welcome. My name is Debbie Ludolph, and I'm greeting you from my home in these COVID physically distancing days. Like Martin Luther University College, I live on the Haldimand Tract, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral peoples. And I give thanks for the land on which I live and breathe, for all peoples who have cared for this land, and for the joy of teaching at Martin Luther University College. What we need is here. What we need is here. That little refrain is a poem by Wendell Berry and describes my teaching philosophy. Let me tell you why. When we study together, you and I, we have everything we need when we gather around a subject and bring all of ourselves, our mind, our body, and our heart to that subject. Neuroscience is teaching us a lot about the integrated brain these days. And so in my teaching, I'm interested and curious about what we each bring from our embodied wisdom, our emotional consciousness, and our cognitive intelligence. Whatever the subject, if we engage from this place, we will know ourselves better in a holistic way at the end of the course and prepare ourselves for the vocation before us. What we need is here. What we need is here. So we bring ourselves, our engaged selves, and the challenging piece of remote courses is to engage not only our individual learners, but as a learning community that gathers and gains from our collective inquiry and imaginations. Each student in the class brings unique contributions to understandings and reflections that hold a mirror up to our own ways of understanding and our embedded assumptions. This is the gift of education, to see differently after an encounter with texts and with others. I strive to create with students learning spaces where we can be open and vulnerable with each other for the sake of deepening our learning. What we need is here. What we need is here. So we bring ourselves and we form and create a learning community. And then for many of us, more than any other year in recent times, the past months have shone a spotlight on societal challenges and injustices. In my courses, whatever the topic, I ground the subject and learning in response to the realities of our time, local and global. We are attentive to how our subject material speaks to our time and emerges out of our time. Luther is a faith-based school where spirituality accompanies academic curiosity, and that is the heart and the distinction of our community. We desire that you go deep with academic rigor on the topic at hand, and that you bring your faith to the inquiry so that you critically engage with it. For this reason, I find the multi-faith and multicultural classroom to be a rich resource, and I encourage our difference to be our strength as we wrestle with ambiguity and paradox on our way to new insights. My pedagogy has been formed by music. It's participatory, relational, exploratory, and holistic in its approach. I expect to learn from my students and my colleagues, and I expect my students to be prompted by me to go deeper in their own inquiry. I'm a small town Ontario girl raised in Walkerton, Ontario, who did academic studies at the University of Toronto, at Laurier, and at Luther, with a summer at the Banff School of Fine Arts. My first degree was in vocal performance, and I taught voice for many years at Laurier and in my home, and performed in musical theater productions semi-professionally. My second degree was a master's in theological studies here at what was then called Waterloo Lutheran Seminary. And my current research that accompanies my doctoral program is asking, how does singing together shape worldview? I began to work at Waterloo Lutheran Seminary in 2005, so I haven't just been a student here. I started with a small contract of arranging musical and worship events, which eventually led to my current roles as Dean of Chapel and Director of the Kanata Centre. My turn towards studying practical theology was prompted by a study trip to Palestine and Israel, which the seminary hosted, and which also inspired the formation of Inshallah, now a group of over 140 singers, faculty, staff, students, and community members from Waterloo region, who sing together. You could be part of that too. We sing songs of faith from around the world towards peace and justice. The courses I've taught at Luther have been praxis-oriented, and they include Inshallah, this choir. Half of the course is singing with the choir, and half is in the classroom studying why you would sing songs from the Global South in a Western context. Another course that came out of practical events is Sing Fires of Justice, which I developed with several colleagues on campus to sing into the complexities of the day, raising awareness and hope in a public event toward the well-being of all. I've taught several courses in the BA in Christian Studies and Global Citizenship, and last year I designed a course called Why Am I Here?, which explored questions around worldview, meaning-making, and authenticity. In graduate studies as a practical theologian, I have taught worship, which intersects with my role as Dean of Chapel, and with my experience as Director of Worship Ministries with the Eastern Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Canada. And this year, I'm excited to be exploring a new course called Nurturing Faith, one of the required graduate courses for the MDiv program, where we will consider faith formation at all ages and stages and reflect on the relatedness of things like context and content, vision and practice, deep learning, big questions, postmodern world, imagination. I'm really looking forward to it. In the winter, I will be teaching Inshallah as a course. We'll see what that becomes as a remote learning experience. As you know, singing in groups is not recommended in this time of COVID. That too is part of my own learning curve in these days. In the meantime, I'm grateful to share life with my husband, Fred, a Lutheran pastor and manager of our condo association, our daughter, Rebecca, and her family who live a few doors away with our 2 grandchildren, and a long distance with our son, Paul, and his partner, Shona, who work and climb in the mountains in Squamish, BC. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Feel free to send me an email, dludolph@luther.wlu.ca. You'll find it in the text below. I look forward to meeting you. I find Luther a wonderful place to grow and learn. It could be that for you too. Peace be with you.